Wonder Tag Flash, quick as a spark. That supporter card will light up the dark. Welcome to the Wonder Tag podcast. Rowan, how are you doing?
Good. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to hear that little jingle you got there. How'd you come up with that? A brilliant Wonder Tag jingle.
Let me tell you, I did not come up with it myself. There's a little Chat GPT action, as there has been in the last couple of weeks. I have not used Chat GPT like pretty much at all in the last 4 months until we started this, and now I've used it like more. I feel like I have to upgrade to the premium version now. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I was just telling you, I got the premium version. ChatGPT is cooking. The max file uploads are clutch for helping me with my math homework. So I would definitely recommend.
That's clutch. That's clutch. Well, for everyone joining, thank you for coming. We're gonna give you guys a little bit of an intro on ourselves, as I'm sure some of you guys are already familiar. But for those who aren't, my name is Jackson. I'm a Pokemon player based out of Toronto, Ontario. Been playing pretty much my entire life. Met Rowan back in like 2016 probably. I think 2016. And we've been buddies for a long time. It's been a passion project to start a podcast. Really listen to the shift gear on the weekly basis. Anil and Kieran being super big inspiration for it, but really excited to be doing it. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I started playing in 2015 as well. I guess back then you lived out in Calgary, right? So I didn't see you too often, just at all the regionals. I remember you beating up on me with Seismitoad back in the day a few times. But yeah, I've played since then. Always been around for the regionals, the internationals. Nowadays, I still compete, and I mean, I coach as well. For those of you that don't know, and I mean, Jackson, you missed the opportunity there, man, to plug your coaching.
to plug the coaching, yeah.
But yeah, that's a bit about me.
Yeah, I remember that too. I was living in Calgary. You never get the chance actually to go to Ontario. It's kind of like a different part, or even like a different country, where everyone in Ontario kind of sees each other on that like even like weekly basis. And I get that now being in Ontario, but growing up in Calgary, it's like you go to Ontario once a year for nationals, and you don't see any of these people, so they might as well just be foreign to you. But you know of them, right? Like you see all the regional results. You see like. I mean, you got a world champion over there after all, right? So you know there's people out there, but yeah, you don't really get that exposure from Calgary. It's just such a small scene comparatively. I'm actually in Calgary right now. I'm leaving tonight, but that's been fun. But the community is still very small. Like you do not have the same like competitive environment that you have in Ontario.
Did you get out to any league cups or league challenges in Calgary?
Oh, dude, I actually did get out to one. Of course, I played Charizard, as I played him all my local events. The competition is not fantastic, but the variance is still at an all-time high, man. I dropped my first game in Calgary in like 2 years. I think I went 3-2. I like went down like 3 prizes against a Goldango and lost, and then I actually played against another Goldango and I prized 3 fire energies, and I didn't take any fire energies for my first 3 prize cards. So I actually just ran out of energies, which is crazy. I don't think I've like ever done that as a Charizard player. So not great.
Were you playing Night Stretcher in your list or no?
Yeah,
just rods.
I played Night Stretcher, but my first Ultra Ball was like I Ultra Ball away a Super Rod. I'm like, oh, this is fine. And then I prized 3 fires. So lesson learned: do not Ultra Ball away your Super Rods, I guess. But yeah, that's okay. Anyways, we are going to discuss, I think, a little bit of our Pittsburgh runs. We're going to get into our runs, our decks, how they're going to adjust with megas. Talk about how the format's going to change with mega evolutions. We'll get a little bit of a Milwaukee preview as well here. I know that we had some online tournaments. I think there was like an all-out Blitzel event that happened yesterday. We had some city leagues, like Champions League, right? So a lot of good stuff to discuss here.
Yeah, I don't know about the all-out Blitzel tournament, but I've been paying attention, seeing some interesting decks do well, and some archetypes that I think are fake, which I'm sure we'll get into later on. But why don't I just start off? I can talk about my Pittsburgh run. It's going to be pretty brief because I have to say I don't think Duskbolt is particularly good moving forward. Yeah. Okay. I'm not even really concerned about the new Psyduck card. I think there's a lot of ways around that, right? You could Phantom Dive 60 onto it, Halucha it, and then get your Dusknors off. Also, are people really going to play Psyduck? And even if they do, are they going to be able to find it?
I don't know, man. As a Charizard player, I have some considerations for the Psyduck card myself, but I get what you mean. I don't think there'll be a ton.
Yo, take the Psyduck out, man. You don't
Yeah.
need it.
Oh, the Psyduck is bad. I guess you probably would not play the Psyduck. If I wasn't playing Dusk Norris, I would probably play the Psyduck. But I do think that it's just better to play Dusk Norris, at least in Masters, where there's like, I feel like Guardian's just going to be everywhere, man. Like, how are you just not going to play Dusk Norris in your deck?
Yeah,
I'll
and
let you
that
get your
segues
run.
me. No, that segues perfectly into why I actually don't think Pult is good because of Guardy, but specifically Jelly Guardy. For the past few months, I felt good about playing Pult. The Guardy matchup is not incredible, but I think your win rate was at maybe 40%, 45% even into some of the Gardevoir builds. But with the Frillish, you get locked out of the game. They kill your Budu. They get their item cards. They always set up. And actually now
Yes.
with the new Curlia, even if they don't play Jelly, the new Curlia should help them set up a lot more as well. And your main win con was them not setting up. So
Yeah, that's a little
yeah,
bit of a
and
problem.
that's a huge problem. And that's what happened in Pittsburgh for me. I played against 4 Jelly Guardies, combined
Dude,
1-2-1 record.
6 Guardians
And
total
just
as well. Oh my goodness.
yeah. No, it was actually brutal. Um, yeah, just not good. And so that pretty much summarizes it. I had my one win against Jelly Guardy. I got it down to a Monkey Dory coin flip, and I flipped heads on Confusion to win the game. So that was really cool. Pretty lucky. Um, and then another one was really close against Brad Curcio in the last round. I got it down. This is actually worth talking about. I had a really interesting position where at the end of the game, again, I was confused by Monkey Dory
Okay.
and I had a coin flip opportunity to win the game. So I could go, I had one boss's orders left. I could go boss, Monkey Dory, confused, like flip for game. If it's heads, I win. Tails, I lose on the spot. But
Okay. So 50-50.
a 50-50. We're tied on 3 prizes. But I figured if I just retreated and used Itchy Pollen, and then next turn retreated again, used the boss, and Phantom dived, um, then I wouldn't need to flip the coin, right? And I would just win the game.
Right.
And because my Dragapult had some damage on it from the Mind Bend, but because it's a Terra Pokemon, it can't be Scream-tailed. And because Gardevoir doesn't play boss, I'm blocking Counter Catcher, which my opponent could use anyway. So my Dragapult's
Yes.
safe on the bench. But Brad ended up having a Devo play where he Devoed the Pult on
Mhm.
the bench. And then, well, then I lost my Dragapult. I could never Phantom Dive, and I lost the game. So a bit of an interesting spot. I did have a jamming tower in play as well, so we
Okay.
had to find an artisan and the TM Evo. So I think it was okay, but it was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking about like jamming tower counts, thinking about how many artists, I guess how many artisans they have left, rather. Like if there's an artisan in the bin there, like do they have an artisan in the bin?
And the secret box in the bin as
And the
well.
secret box? So it's like, it's literally just one artisan, one Devo. I mean, maybe your opponent has like a 7 card deck and a research in hand, and maybe they're going to hit it. But I feel like generally speaking in those spots, especially under item lock, you're probably feeling pretty good about your odds there. Actually,
Yeah, and the logic is like if I think he has less than a 50% chance to find Devo and Artisan, then I'm gonna win more by retreating.
right.
So that's what I thought.
Right. And your opponent also even just has like a chance of prizing either of those 2 cards. Like whenever you're evaluating those win cons, it's always good to consider like how many pieces do they need to not prize to actually pull off that play. And at least in that case, it's multiple pieces. So I feel like you're feeling pretty good about that. Yeah. I actually, not the exact same scenario, but I did have a very similar situation. I ended up losing the game actually, but I played against a Dust Bolt myself playing Jelly Guardy where I was able to hit that Devo play. Like I went Mind Bend with Clefairy, got the Pult to 120. They retreated at Itchy Pollens, and I got the Devo, but I still ended up losing after that spot because I never ended up actually getting a Gardevoir on the board. I got Itchy Pollen and I Devoed, but I couldn't actually make a Gardevoir. So I was able to buy myself like 2 or even 3 turns, but just sometimes, man, you just get Itchy Pollen, and it doesn't matter how strong your deck is when it sets up. If it doesn't set up, it doesn't matter.
I mean, that can transition us. That's pretty much all for mine run. My run. Do you want to talk about your run with Guardy? Did your deck set up well? I mean, obviously you got Itchy Pollen there once, but did that happen more often during the tournament, or did the deck function?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like my deck actually kind of overperformed in terms of overall function. There was, I think, A few games where I did have like Mew-EX bailout kind of situations where, my hand's dead, but I'm on the board and I can Mew-EX for a few cards. And for the most part, I was able to get out of most of my hands. Like, there's a few situations where I end up down like 2 prizes, 3 prizes. But honestly, I did not have a single like true guardy game where you open up a hand and it's completely unplayable. And I think a lot of that is due to the Frillish, right? Like you talked about how it slows down the opponent. Like I played against quite a few Dusk Bolts here. I played against 3 Dusk Bolts and a Pulsard. Those are matchups where you do have a little bit of time, and also when you get Frillish involved, you actually give yourself 2, 3 turns, maybe even 4 turns to get on the board. So I found that Jelly Guardy was great for that. You could actually open bad hands and be totally fine with how much time you're just able to buy via usually Frillish, but also sometimes Jellicent. I would just have opponents that were going like single recon pass, and that felt great. And even like Dango opponents. I played against 4 Dangos in a row, you can see here in day 2. And honestly, like the turn 1 Frillish is so powerful. I would be just like completely doing nothing. And my opponent just had a bad turn 1. I item locked them. The air balloon ended up being like super instrumental for that. Like a lot of opponents maybe holding on to things like Earthen Vessel in their hand because they don't expect to get turn 1 Frillish when I don't open Frillish. And then I slam down like air balloon Frillish, right? And, I item lock my opponent. They end up whiffing metal for, 3-4 turns. That gives me so much time to just get myself into the game, even when my deck wasn't functioning. So overall, felt really solid about that. Overall, I mean, I think I played decently well. You can see I did tie 2 Flareons here, which is a little bit embarrassing. I had not tested that matchup in like 3-4 months. I will be honest, and kind of took me by surprise how like I would say geared these decks are now, so towards like just beating Guardy. Like even I played against a local George, and like this list is actually not that easy to deal with. It's got Wellspring, it's got Gravity Mountain, it's got Kieran. So between Kieran and Gravity Mountain, there's like 2 different ways to one-shot a Gardevoir. And then on top of that, you are getting hit with like early Wellspring. So if you happen to open like a Pokemon that isn't Monkey Dory, it gets really awkward because you're looking at getting Torrential pumped for 2 like pretty quickly. So I did play against 2 of these decks. I think I was a little bit underprepared, maybe got a little bit unlucky, but I think I probably could have navigated myself into better spots where like in this game, I won the first game after he had a relatively slow start. And then game 2, I got myself to a position where I was like 1 turn away from winning and I owned him to 1. And I needed him to whiff Boss, which is essentially like 2 Noctowls, 1 Night Stretcher, and then 1 Boss that was left. And, ended up hitting the Night Stretcher, getting the Noctowl. But I also wondered, could I have maybe played myself into a situation where, I just didn't have to dodge a Night Stretcher? I think I probably could have with a little bit more experience in the matchup, understanding, my outs a little bit better. So those Flareon games are a little bit unfortunate. Other than that, yeah, I talked about my Dusk Bolt. I played against Bodhi in round 9. Had 2 games where really I had like the perfect hand, honestly. And those games where Guardy kind of just like gets on the board and you're sitting there as a Dusk Bolt player, right? And you're like, oh, I'm just screwed. But I have this perfect hand twice in a row, and I get Iono'd. And I then do the Guardy thing where I just look at 6 unplayable cards. And you know what? Like you talked about the Frillish, very impactful there, but was not able to pull out either of those 2 games and kind of got swept off the board. The rest of my games I wouldn't say are particularly interesting. A lot of shoving Jellicent in the active turn 2 and just hoping the opponent doesn't have what they need. And honestly, a lot of times it did work. Both my Guardy opponents kind of just got early Jellicents against them, and with the air balloon kind of just took them over, right? There's not a ton of outs you have under Jellicent. Maybe now the new Curly, like you mentioned, helps with that, but it's really just a lot of pushing Jellicent in the active and praying, and honestly, for the most part, worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that as Dusk Bolt as well, especially the decks more reliant on item cards. The Evolution decks, Dango, even Raging Bolt sometimes, although they can get up the Baby Bolt pretty nice. Sometimes people just don't play under item lock, and I think that's my favorite part of playing these decks. It's just getting some free wins in a format where, a lot of your games going down to time, they can be very stressful. Just collecting some free wins is really nice.
It's so mentally taxing. Like the format is, I would say, one of the most mentally taxing formats since probably not when Monkey was printed, but like post rotation, where like everyone has some sort of damage manipulation and monkeys in their deck. I feel like there's just a lot more mistakes to be made in situations that actually appear, at least on face value, where they're simple. Like you never had to make the decision to just not attack. But now there's so many situations where you are just attacking, period, is actually wrong. Those kinds of decisions as they go throughout the tournament are super mentally taxing. So I definitely felt that. Like Gardevoir Jellicent was easily like the most mentally taxing deck I've ever played, even despite having like, a decent amount of wins that were push Jellicent, item lock, opponent does nothing. Like, this deck is really, really taxing when you are genuinely playing games.
Touching on that idea of passing, did you watch any of Liam Halliburton's games on stream against Gardevoir? Did you watch those or no?
No, I actually haven't.
Okay.
What happened?
Okay. Like a lot of passing. He basically just refused to do anything for like 10 plus turns. He would just sit there. I remember the one against Rule. Rule was using Frillish, and Liam just sat there, Dark Energy on Monkey, kept moving the Frillish damage back, got up. I think Rahul had double Monkey, Liam had double Monkey, and he just sat there for like, probably not even exaggerating, 10 turns, trade. Eventually, he got the Zoroark up, he got the boss, he killed the Guardy, and he won the regional. So I think the format definitely has a lot of room to reward disciplined players for waiting for the right moment to go on offense.
Yes, yeah, that's super true, and it doesn't even come up specifically only in monkey decks. I feel like there's a lot of situations where counter catcher, Iono, Unfair Stamp end up being all really, really valid reasons to pass. I even find myself passing with Charizard sometimes, where I can take a knockout and go from like 4-2, and my opponent's on 2 prize cards, but there might just be a reason for me to sit on 4 and just like wait. And I can maybe put together, some sort of Briar combination play on the following turn. That actually comes up like a surprising amount for a deck that doesn't have any damage manipulation. Like this format, very, very, very taxing. And actually, speaking about that, like, I don't know if you have ever, but I got my shoulder injured the day before the regional. So I was like, short story, but like I was biking in Toronto the day before the regional. We're about to leave. I was biking so we could, all carpool. I hit a pothole and I went over the handlebars, and you know what? I was lucky I didn't end up in a cast, so I'm grateful for that. My shoulder's like, mostly healed back at this point. I got most of the range of motion, but holy, I have never played a regional on like a intense amount of pain, and like that specifically was also really, really mentally taxing. Like, I don't know. Have you ever played like with any injuries or any like pain throughout like a tournament?
Yeah, one time. When was I think maybe 2 years ago, I think it was Fort Wayne regionals. I had a concussion from playing rugby. And I think maybe a week after getting the concussion, I went to the regional. I wore sunglasses for all of day 2 because I had a massive headache and it was too bright inside. And yeah, I did not do very well. Well, I did like okay. I think I top 64 or 128'd, which was like not bad. But yeah, I definitely relate. It's really important you're in peak condition when you're playing these regionals, because if it's mentally taxing enough that if you're also physically taxed, it's just a disaster.
Dude, do you ever like when you're wearing the shades? I had actually a regional where I wore shades in like seniors. It was like 2016, completely different context. Still sports related, I guess. I was playing soccer and just like at recess, got my glasses just like slammed in the face and broke. And so I had these prescription shades.
Yeah.
And I pulled up to like, I think it was like Anaheim 2016. And I'm just wearing shades. And I didn't even realize at the time, but my opponents could just see my entire hand through the reflection of the shades. So I was just completely bleeding the entire time. And it was like post round 2 or something. This is like, I guess I'm like 2-0 or something at the point. A judge pulls me over and he's like, dude, I'm going to have to give you a warning for intimidation because I was wearing shades. And they thought that I was trying to intimidate my opponents. And I was like, no, dude, I don't have glasses. I literally cannot read the cards if I don't have these shades on. And I guess, what was I? 13-year-old Jackson was too busy intimidating the seniors, man.
Oh my God.
This is straight ridiculous. So that I do feel you with the shades. Did any of your opponents like try to do that?
Like see my hand through my shades, you mean?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't remember. I'd like to say they weren't super reflective. In
Okay.
hindsight, they might have been. I also would hope that someone would have said something if they could just see my hand the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, but I really don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, was this one of like your MUV Max tournaments?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It was the
it's fun. It's
one.
fun.
This was the one that Andrew Estrada and I think Michael Long both top eighted. Um,
Yeah, like this is
yeah, it
like
was
it's
like
like 2023 or something. So I gotta scroll down your
yeah,
giant
you're
page.
finding it. Thank you, thank you.
Or Fort Wayne's this one?
Yeah, sounds about right. I should have basic psychic energy in my deck. No, not this one.
Not this
Earlier,
one.
it must have been like a year even before that, maybe.
I mean,
Or I don't know.
dude,
What's like the earliest Mu VMAX entry?
the earliest one is like all the way back here, dude. Holy crap, your Limitless page is so big. I didn't even realize. Um, dude, your earliest one's like this Mew Meloetta, like Indianapolis.
Yeah, maybe that one. Click on that one.
It's like psychic energy.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was this one. It was definitely a very similar build to this at the very least at the time.
Hey, respectfully, dude, what is it? Is this real, man?
Oh.
3 Tower of Darkness?
Yeah, I was cooking, bro. You could use, against Path to the Peak, it was just a stadium bump. And against other decks, it would discard itself so that you could draw more cards with Genesect.
Oh, dude. So it's a discard fodder draw too. Wait, that actually is kind of cool. But you still you didn't have Lost Vacuum.
Yeah.
So wait, this is Lost Vacuum before Lost Vacuum was legal. It's like thinning
Pretty
cards.
much.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And also bumping Path when you need to. I think
Okay.
most people played Rose Tower and like the one that got an energy back from your discard or maybe from your deck.
Yeah, you got the like training court. You got one copy of this as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, I do have one of those. Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying that this is the one that you were that you had the concussion? You think?
Yeah, yeah. This was the one I think I had the concussion.
Also,
for.
this would have been like a COVID regional too. So you would have been like masked up, shades on, like just completely. No one can see anything.
Yeah, like I'm at a poker table.
Yeah,
man.
I was gonna
Just
say, dude, you know,
straight.
the poker players, right? They don't want to give any tells. They get the shades on, they get the mask on, like the hoodies up as well.
Yeah. My opponents are probably like, "What's wrong with this guy?"
Dude, you're not getting a read on this guy, man. Not at all.
Nothing. Unless you look at the sunglasses and then you can see all my cards.
You don't have to worry about that in poker, but you definitely have to worry about that in Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, I mean, that was a good random tangent there, taking me down memory lane on this Mew VMAX deck. But getting back to Pittsburgh and really moving forwards from Pittsburgh, what do you think is changing going into this meta with Mega Evolutions and the other new cards from the new Mega set?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, of course, like I actually wrote a Cutter Tap article on this, so I'll plug them. But I think Lily's Determination actually is like probably the best supporter card to be printed. And I can't say ever, but like objectively just looking at what the actual effect of the supporter card is, like ever. Because I think in current standard, Iono is probably like stronger. When you look at research, it is situationally actually much stronger. But when you just look at the raw effect of the card, and of course, like it's going to be legal for 3 years, right? Like I think it is just going to be the strongest supporter card that is ever printed. Like I don't think we have seen unconditional shuffle draw 8 at the start of a game ever printed. There's been like, Gambler and flip a coin, draw 8, right? So
Or draw one.
Or draw one, right? So I mean, there's nothing quite like it. And I mean, the one reason why Lilies might not be as strong right now as it will be post rotation is just deck order. So like, I mean, you play Potent Noir a lot, of course. You know how important like your deck order is. With Lilies, you kind of just cannot capitalize on cycling through your deck. So I actually see Potent Noir list playing like 4 Lilies. I'm not even sure if that's correct. I'm not sure on your thoughts there, but like when you play research, when you play Iono, you are simply just seeing 7 fresh cards, 6 fresh cards, and those other cards are just not going to be seen. It means you're now 6 or 7 cards closer to something like Countercatcher, Neo Opera Energy, whatever, right? So Lilies does not have that effect, but it looks like, at least after rotation hits, deck order is just not going to matter outside of Recon Directive because Iono's getting rotated, which is like kind of the main thing we're concerned about. And then Recon Directive will still exist, but I'm sure Dragapult will be not as popular as it has been in the last 6 months. So that card super super broken. What about the megas? What are your thoughts on the megas?
I think Mega Lucario is really good once Gardevoir EX rotates out of the format. Right now, unfortunately, being a 3-prizer weak to Psychic just makes you like basically unplayable.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of cool things people can do with this deck, whether you're powering up Iron Hands or just fighting attackers. I also love the idea of playing an 8-prize game, and I think this Pokemon does it really well, where you lead out with the 3-prizer, and then you either use a 2-prizer or 2 1-prizers, and then another Mega at the end. And that's really strong, just making your opponent's knockouts inefficient.
Yeah.
But yeah, being weak to Psychic is just really bad.
Yeah.
And I think most of the other Megas are pretty bad. What do you think of Mega Gardevoir?
Okay, I actually did want to talk about it. So Mega Gardevoir, I think, makes a lot of sense if your damage output isn't very high. So like you're not going to play it with Drifloon, and you're probably not even going to play it when you're playing multiple Bravery Charms. But I think there's actually a lot of merit to playing it in like a Jellicent focus build. Is it worth the slot? I'm not fully convinced. But something I realized recently as we were talking about like Pittsburgh is, End Zoroark just won. End Zoroark does not actually one-shot a Mega Gardevoir. It only does 340. So that could actually be quite interesting. Like they play one Mochi, right? So they can like maybe find their one Mochi, although they're not even playing Arvins, right? So no Arvins. I don't even think they're playing Cypher. So if you go like Iono Mega Guardy one-shot a Zoroark, it's like actually pretty good. It's pretty gas. So I actually think Mega Guardy might be played. Now, I don't know how many other matchups it's useful in, but I have found some spots against Grimmsnarl as well where it's pretty useful. But essentially like the use case being where you can't do enough damage through Miracle Force Monkey, and there's not an attack to genome hacking, because most Pokemon will fall under one of those two bins, but the Pokemon that don't, which is things like Grimmsnarl and Zoroark, even like Goldengo to an extent, like that's where Mega Guardy's like really, really gonna shine. But of course, you talk about like the 8-prize game, right? You're not dropping this guy when the opponent's on 3 prize cards. You're either dropping it when the opponent's on like 4 and kind of just saying you have to knock it out or else I'm going to out-trade you, or you drop it on like 1 or 2 and slam an Iono down and say, 360 HP, good luck, right? And I'm going to knock out your attacker with that. So I think it's going to be strong, but the applications for it are a little bit less defined. And of course, you have to make 2 Gardevoirs. Making 2 Gardevoirs is not a walk in the park.
I also love that you don't have, the damage is very controllable. So you don't have to kill things, right? You can control how many energies you have. So if you wanted to bring up, I don't know, a Pheasantipede, hit it for 200, not knock it out, you can also do that, right? Bring up a Genesect, bring up, I don't know, any Pokemon that has a retreat cost that isn't 0.
Yeah.
Right? You're generating Fez and all that good stuff. So I guess I could see this card being good. And there are also some games where you have your Gardevoir EX, you have your backup Kirlia, and then because you have a backup Kirlia, your opponent just never kills your Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the times you're like playing 2 Gardevoirs early, and if your opponent knocks one of them out, it's just really good for you because you get the next Guardy up, you get an extra bench space, and you're able to play some kind of board where killing your Gardevoir just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like maybe you go like Screamtail with like 6 energies in the active, and then you're 1 Guardy on the bench, or maybe you're powering up a Mew EX or a Clefairy, right? There's things your opponent can't ignore. So if your opponent never kills your Kirlia, then the Mega Guardy can come in pretty easily. So I don't know what to think of this card.
I'm a fan. Actually, I wanted to show you these, but I picked up a full art Mega Guardy. I hope the camera can see it. I picked up a Mega Guardy. Like these like full arts are actually like so much cooler than like the regular full arts that we had. I played Goldengo to Worlds, right? And I picked up these full art Goldengo EXs. Let me see if I can find it. I think it should be this one. Like holy, and this guy is so ugly. Like the full art megas, they're actually like super super sick. So I'm not going to be spending $500 on like the SIR Mega Guardy. But the full art megas are actually super super dope. So I'm hoping that they're good because there's at least there's a chance that we end up playing a Mega Guardi at some point, and I wanted to have it in case. So yeah, these full arts completely trash, but I'm liking at least the completely irrelevant from the meta, but the artwork in Mega Evolutions is super super fire. Like I've not
Lucario
really
is
I've
really
not really
cool.
liked many. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Lucario SIR. Let me see if I can find this. It should be this one. Oh no. Okay, okay. I do not like these.
Okay.
I think these
Yeah,
are
yeah,
trash.
don't look at that.
Did you see that they it's like 1 in 25 boxes or something like that to get one of those? Like it's
Really?
ridiculous. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. But like these are so sick. These artworks are incredible. And you know what? I'm probably never getting them because like look at this. This is 283 US
200.
dollars. There's just no shot. But they are probably some of my favorite SARs that they've printed in recent memory. So I'm super super hyped for the Mega artwork, and especially they have like a UPC coming out. I think it's like a Phantasmal Flames one. It has like this Charizard. Have you seen like the Charizard that's coming out in the UPC?
No, I haven't actually.
Let me see if I can find it. Mega Charizard X EX. Okay, it's not on here, but I'll find it. Mega Charizard X UPC. If I go into like the images, yeah, it's like these ones. Like look at this. They're like super super
Yeah, that
sick.
is super cool.
And the Aura Choreo as well. It's like the same artwork as or the same artist rather as the Giratina V from Lost Origins, which
Yeah, I can
is
tell.
yeah, it's like one of my favorite cards of all time. So yeah, I'm super super hyped for some of the Mega artwork. I know that's maybe less relevant to the less relevant to the meta, but I'm super super excited for that stuff. So yeah, Megas are going to be I think reasonably strong. Lucario specifically, really thinking that card's going to be strong once Gardevoir rotates. I mean, Premium Power Pro. You played a little bit of Pikarom, yeah. You played a little bit of Electro Power.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I
That
mean
card was busted.
that card Electro Power like, plus 30 on items just insane, right? Like you just fix so many things, and that potentially even kind of ends up being good with like Garchomp, like Cynthia's Garchomp, which actually that's also a pretty good segue because there was some tournament results I think we want to talk about. And I think Cynthia's Garchomp is like somewhere in those, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to pull up some of the online? I don't know if you can find a list for it. I'm sure there's one there. Um,
Let me
Maybe while
see.
you look for that, one other Mega Pokemon I wanted to mention was Mega Kangaskhan. Um, I think like the ceiling for Mega Kangaskhan is pretty low.
Hmm.
It is an interesting consistency card, and I wonder if it could fit into maybe a control deck to draw cards, or something like a Raging Bolt deck or Terra Box. Wouldn't be surprised to see it there. Just wanted to mention that last
Yeah,
Mega.
let's let's look at I want to look at this All Out Blitzel tournament that happened. It was pretty big actually. Um, yeah, here we go, 467 people. And you know who won the All Out Blitzel tournament?
All of Blitzel.
Oh,
Oh, there was
he like hosted his own tournament and then just ended up winning it, which is actually that's just hilarious. So we had some pretty interesting things going on, and of course Pidgeot control on the top. I think we talked about this a little bit like yesterday. Like Pidgeot control is so interesting again because Pidgeot control is very good even like a year ago because no one knew what they were doing against Pidgeot control. And honestly, like I have not played against Pidgeot control pretty much ever. I think I maybe played like one ladder game against it. So if I run into Pidgeot control, like I probably just will not have any idea how to navigate against it. I mean, I'll have like at least some knowledge because I know that this deck is pretty much like a retreat lock kind of deck. But like I don't really know how I'm supposed to play against this like double LGM Ethan Sudowoodo kind of kind of idea. It's actually kind of cool. It's got 4 petrels and 2 Team Rocket transceivers just to
Get the
get
petrol.
Grand Tree. That's actually pretty sweet.
That's like very reliable access to Grand Tree.
Yeah, like 6 outs plus the Grand Tree itself, 7 outs to Grand Tree. Wait, that's actually super super nice. I mess with this.
I'm surprised he's not playing the Shuckle. Have you seen the Shuckle? It lets you heal 30 once a turn from one of your Pokemon.
Oh
The
no, I
idea
haven't even seen this.
being. Mhm. So yeah, the new Shuckle lets you heal 30 once a turn, which is better than Monkey because you're
Mm.
removing the damage from the board instead of giving it to your opponent to give it back to you. And so what you can do is you can put
Oh,
down Pseudo Wudo with a Defiance Vest,
Yes.
and then Shuckle, and then you can infinitely trap a Monkey Dory, assuming you also need to get a Mist Energy on the Sudowoodo or a Festival Grounds in play. And then
Right.
you're immune to the confusion. You take 20 a turn from Mind Bend, which you heal every turn, and their Monkey Dory's obviously stuck in the active infinitely.
Right. And you play Prism Energy, so you have the fighting and the grass. That's actually super, super sweet. Yeah, I guess he's not playing anything like Mist Energy either. So I guess they just like a different. I guess you're just like spamming Sudowoodo until they run out of energies instead. Like if they put if they have to make a Gardevoir, I assume, and then they have a few energies trapped in Gardevoir, and you just start bringing up other Pokemon, they can't really do too much about that. I guess that's at least part of the plan. I'm not a Pidgeot control expert by any means, but that's actually really, really cool. You have handheld
Yeah.
fan as well, so you can like handheld fan and just kind of trap a monkey, right? And you just kind of run them out of psychic energies.
Yeah, and just keep like pennying. Is there a lot of pennies? Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah, you got
pennies.
2 pennies, 2 Palpads. Yeah, you get confused every time, but the plan is just to heal every time, anyways. So should be fine. Oh, there's
Yeah, this
actually
is
there's
cool.
no Defiance Fest, so it's a completely different outlook on it.
I think it's important for people to, not necessarily have an optimal plan for this deck, but at least know what all the cards do. So if you run into it, you can start thinking about it then. Instead of seeing your opponent flip over Pidgey, just having no idea what's going on, and then almost definitely losing.
Yeah, that's actually when I run into Pidgeot control, I feel like I'm very underprepared. So even just like looking at this deck once, I feel a lot more prepared for what they're going to be able to do to me. And I know like you can play against a Pidgeot control list with a bunch of different stuff, but like this retreat lock kind of stuff with Sudowoodo is probably the main strategy, almost no matter what. So yeah, definitely very, very cool. Congrats to Olo Blitzel on the W there in his own tournament. Super, super fire. We also had Cynthia's Garchomp in
There we
the
go.
top eight. I want to talk about this one. There's actually a lot of cool stuff in this top eight, so we'll talk about a good amount of it. But this one right here, this list was interesting. I saw it, and it doesn't actually play any Roserade. It's just fully straight Garchomp Monkey Dory, and you have 400 HP, and you have triple Monkey Dory, which is kind of sweet. I definitely messed with this. So, what do you think about what do we think about this like tank Garchomp kind of idea?
I mean, my first thought is, how are we killing a Gardevoir EX? Do we need triple fighting plus power? Fighting, what's it called? Fighting power? I don't know.
Premium Power Pro.
Premium Power Pro.
Just call it Electro Power, man. It's the same thing.
Yeah, Electric Power. Yeah, you just need 3 of them in order to kill a Gardevoir EX. I'm not a fan of that. I think you definitely need the Roserades for that matchup. It's also 2 Premium Power Pros for a Dragapult EX, which is a little more feasible, I think.
You have monkeys, man. They're going to give you damage for sure, right? Surely it's just one.
That's true. That's true. And I guess Guardy will also be giving you damage. Well, not necessarily, right? They could go Counter Catcher, attack with Guardy.
They're
So yeah,
probably just going to kill Monkey all game, right?
Yeah, or like kill your Gabites, maybe, and ignore them. Probably kill the monkeys, wherever the energies are, right?
There'll never be a Gabite on the board, because what's going to happen is they'll just go triple Gabite and then just make triple Garchomp, because the Gabite just searches for a Garchomp. So they don't have a reason to leave a Gabite on the board, since there's no Roserade or anything, right? The only card they're actually searching at that point is this one of Spiritomb. But I mean, they don't care, right? They're gonna have Artisan in play. So I actually think you might actually have to just go after the monkey the entire game. They might have the plan of just kind of sitting there on an all Garchomp board, and then maybe have like a monkey or two, and then like once a monkey dies, they kind of just like leave it there, and then just start attacking Garchomps. And now at that point, you're forced to put damage on something, right? And then you can just like build a monkey army, maybe. I don't know. Artisan's going to be in play, right? So making a monkey doesn't sound like horribly hard.
So it's going to be in play. Yeah. I am hesitant about this deck. It has no onboard draw. So I feel like towards the end of the game, yes, your attack draws 6, but your opponent can just spam Ionos. And your attack that does all the damage discards all your energies. So even if your opponent puts you in a position where you can one-shot the Gardevoir, can you one-shot the Gardevoir and then keep attacking on the next turn when you get Iono'd to potentially 1 card? Probably not.
Hey man,
right?
you got free retreat. You can retreat between Garchomps. You just have to get like 4 fights on the board somehow. If you get 4 fightings on the board, you're chilling. You have fighting gongs.
Yeah. Even just like 3 fightings so that on the next turn you can draw until you have 6, force another Iono, then draw until you have 6, right? There's only so many Ionos as long as you have 1 fighting.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you play against Goldango with Guardy and you like want to play 7 Ionos a game, but you only have 4. So, maybe they're just bulky enough where they can outlast a very long stretch of Ionos, because with Cynthia's power weight, like you're actually not even really getting 2-shot a lot of the times. Like if you have 400 HP and you can go double monkey, you're like 240 left, right? So even for like a Dragapult Dusknar kind of deck, it could be like kind of hard to 2-shot a Garchomp even. I guess they have jamming tower, so maybe not jamming, right? Maybe not specifically Pulnar, but I can see decks that could struggle, especially if you're like pivoting between Garchomps. It would be pretty cool. I like that a lot of the cards in this deck are burnable. A big problem that I had with Cynthia's Garchomp, especially when you're playing Rose Raids, is that you just end up with like a hand of like 5 cards and they're just all completely unplayable. So when you use a Corkscrew Dive, I think that's the first attack's name, you like draw 1 card. But with this deck, you have Fighting Gongs, you can burn Premium Power Pro, you can at least have 1 Secret Box, which is like a burnable card where you can just kind of completely refresh your hands. So I don't actually see like that many hand combinations where you're just like completely unable to burn cards. So I think that's actually a pretty substantial buff compared to playing like 3/3 Rose Raid. You're just gonna have a ton of guys in your hand that you can't use.
Maybe like a 1/1 Rose Raid would be good, just to be able to threaten some extra damage on the board, not need to draw into the Premium Power Pros. Could be good.
Yeah, I don't hate that. You just like don't put it down against anything that can take advantage of it. I think that's pretty good.
I also think that this deck is just really bad into the aggro decks like Dango and Bolt. But it is quite good into, like Pult and Zoroark, the decks that can't one-shot it.
Hey man, you beat a Dango. I know it's an online tournament, but beat a Dango.
There is a Cornerstone.
Oh wait, there is a Cornerstone. Wait, how are they dealing with Cornerstone Triple Monkey? Wait, they're definitely not dealing with that, right? Like they just cannot deal with Triple Monkey Cornerstone. I mean, maybe like depends on like what kind of list they play, but I assume it's like all these like Luna Rock lists. Actually I have a follow-up question here. I'm gonna find the top performing Dango list, but I know we had a conversation earlier about fraudulent decks.
Yo, this is top of the watch list for fraudulent decks. Not even on the watch list. This is like top of the convicted fraudulent decks, guys. This deck is not good. I swear. So many problems. The deck is far worse versus Jellicent. It's far worse against Grimmsnarl, like any kind of spread deck, any kind of Frostlass, right? You're not able to get the Monkey Dory online. I think that's a big deal. You don't have the Levincia to get through the item lock, and then oh my gosh, I've heard people, they're like, oh, put the Vitality Band on the Soul Rock and then you can knock out the Frillish. Like, oh my gosh, like yes, but no, because there's going to be a charm on the Frillish. You only have 1 Vit Band. Are you going to be able to find it when you need it? They can just knock it out and then Frillish you, right? There's just so many problems with this deck, and I feel like, yeah, cool, I'm all for drawing a lot of cards, but the deck has to also do cool things with all the cards.
Hey, the deck does attack on turn 1. Like you do get to do the Fan Rotom thing on turn 1 that like Secret Box Dango deck did, except you don't have to play Secret Box. You get to play Trolley and draw a bunch of cards. So you do get turn 1 knockout, at least consistently enough, where I feel like you are considerably favored into other Dango decks if you're not playing Luna Rock. But I mean, I guess that's like a sense of like a prisoner's dilemma, where if all you're worried about is other Dango decks, and then you like make your Dango deck worse to beat other Dango decks, then all you've done is kind of just make everyone worse off compared to before. So maybe not. I do think that it's not horrible though. There are some ways you can get around this Frillish stuff. I was talking about Lana's Aid in this deck, and I know that sounds like kind of jank, but it does let you knock out like 3 Frillishes with Make It Rain. So it might be enough to get you over the finish line there. But I do agree that at least with Gardevoir Jellicent specifically, very rough. And then, yeah, I mean, still, if you're choosing not to play Tool Scrapper, this deck's going to have a really bad time with just like a straight up Screamtail Heavy Charm Dango, like the Monterey Henry Chow list. So maybe not fantastic there. What about Pult? Like, why is this deck way worse against Pult? I feel like it's not that bad against Pult. I feel like it's actually like good to take a turn one knockout.
It might be better against Pult actually, because it's going to be more resilient to early game Budu. The Picnic Basket is actually way worse than Monkey Dory for Pult because, so if you go 206 and then they Monkey Dory, you can blow up a Clops, fix it, and get your 4-prize Phantom Dive.
Yeah.
But the Picnic Basket blocks it. So this deck might actually be better into Pult Dusk, but I mean, I'm not super high on Pult Dusk right now, so I don't think that's a huge selling point for this Dango deck.
Yeah. Understandable.
Also, is it beating a Dango list that just plays a Togekiss?
Okay, so I thought about this in theory. And so if your opponent gets the first prize card, let's say this Dango deck gets the first prize card, you are at best 50% to win, because they'll take a prize card back and go to 5/5. And then they'll probably bench Togepi that turn.
Yep.
And so you just go kill the Togepi, go to 4, right? And then they go to 3. And then you just go to 2. And then on that turn, they have to make Candy Togekiss and flip heads. So it actually means that they should only be winning the game 50% of the time under the normal route, the most common route. But they also will prize Candy, Togepi, Togekiss, or Night Stretcher / Super Rod, because they need the second Togepi, right? And they only play one recovery card usually. So I actually think that you should be beating Dango Togekiss more often than not. I mean, it's still a Dangomir. We know how toxic that Dangomir is. So you can definitely still lose, right? But I do think that you have an edge. So I feel pretty good about it. At least there.
Well, that makes sense. That does make sense.
I made a transition in my Charizard deck, which I'll talk about a little bit. I played the 90 HP Pidgeotto in my Charizard deck now, specifically. So Solrock with a Vitality Band does not knock out my Pidgeotto, which surprisingly actually came up quite a few times, because you would play against some of these lists that played Prime Catcher instead of Trolley, and they would just go Arven for Prime Catcher Bit Bands, and they just kill your Pidgeotto on turn 2, and it was super annoying. So I made the adjustments. Now I don't have to worry about that.
Seems valid.
It's super good. I promise you it's better. There was also a Charizard, and this, I believe, is a copy and paste from one of the Champions League lists. What? Yeah, have you seen the Klefki, Dusknoir, Monkey, Zard deck? It's got a lot going on. I don't know.
I swear these kinds of lists always come out of Japan, and I look at these lists, and my first thought is just how are all these Pokemon in the deck? What is the deck not playing? And in this case, I just started looking at all the consistency cards that there should definitely be 4 of, and I'm like, oh, 2 Arvins, 2 Ionos, 3 Candies. Yeah, this sounds about right. I guess I see how we're fitting in all these cards.
Yeah. You know what else? What other supporter card is missing, which is the best card in the deck?
Briar? Turo?
Yeah, it's missing Briar. I mean,
Briar,
I can understand cutting Turo if you're playing Triple Jet. Totally fine.
True.
Cutting Briar out of Charizard, Pidgeot, Dusknoir is like a war crime. You should be locked up for cutting Briar out of this deck, man. It's like half of your win conditions with Dusknoir. Even without Dusknoir, I'm playing Briar in my Charizard Pidgeot list. No matter what, there's a Briar in that deck. You get smacked around by Solrocks occasionally because you just cannot fall behind more than 2 prizes without Briar. And in this deck here, they're playing 1/1/1 Dusknoir, no Briar. Why are we committing 4 slots to Klefki Triple Jet and then not putting in the second Duskull or the Briar?
Are you committed to the Dusknoir? Are you not committed to the Dusknoir? What's going on here?
But you know what is fire? They did play the 90 HP Pidgeotto, so at least they know the method about the Solrock Vitality Band. So that's cool. But yeah, I definitely think this deck has a little bit too much going on. At the very least, if you want to play this Klefki jank, cut Monkey, cut Luminous, because you cannot fit this in. realistically, put a second Duskull in your deck and get a Briar in there, man. Let's be honest. You need those cards. If you want to play Dusknoirs, you might as well play the package that makes the Dusknoirs actually good. At least that's my take on it. I don't have any games on Klefki to really back up that statement otherwise. I don't think I will put any games on Klefki either. Maybe I will. Maybe if Psyduck is 50% and Pult Dusk, the two Pult Dusk players at Milwaukee win the event, then we'll revisit this conversation.
I don't think the Klefki's good. I am interested to ask you about the Tatsugiri and kind of also segue the question about Tatsugiri into Grimmsnarl, because I've also seen some people playing Tatsugiri and Grimmsnarl, which I think has similar applications. What do you think of Tatsugiri?
I think Tatsugiri is actually super strong if you choose to play more supporter cards than this list did. Now, if you only play like the bare minimum amount of supporter cards, you are just going to fail Tatsugiri a reasonable amount of the time. If you look at, like, let's say you're, to give you like a similar probability, let's say you're playing like Terra Box and you don't open Fanrodom. That's like more often you'll whiff Tatsugiri than the amount of times that you don't open Fanrodom. And you actually don't open Fanrodom a decent amount of the time. With this one, you're looking at 8 draw supporter outs and you're seeing 6 cards. Like when you open Fanrodom, you're seeing 8 cards and you have like 2 Fanrodom, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Nest Ball, 1 Poffin usually, right? So you have like 11, 12 outs. And you actually can still, like, when you think about that kind of deck, you can think about the times that you've missed Fanrodom and when it's even happened consecutively. Now you take that and now you're seeing 2 less cards and you only play 8 supporter cards. And guess what? When you want to use Tatsugiri for your follow-up supporter card, you also have 1 less supporter card in your deck. So I think if you want to play Tatsugiri, at the very minimum, you want 3 Arvins. And honestly, I would still even just want these random tech supporter cards in my deck, because at the very least, Tatsugiri is going to be more useful in mid to late game, and I'll get sometimes Ultra Ball fodder when I don't need cards like Turo or Briar. So I think Tatsugiri is strong, and of course, with the Grimmsnarl idea as well, Lily's determination is broken, and trying to play as many copies of that card and actually find those copies of that card before you take your first prize card seems really, really strong. Definitely makes a lot of sense to play a 70 HP Pokemon over a 30 HP Pokemon too. You're not going to die to Adrenabrain, right? So those factors are all great, but you got to play enough supporter cards to make it work. And I think at the very least, talk about Grimmsnarl. I think the Grimmsnarl lists had does this one have a little Tatsugiri in it? No Tatsugiri in here. Let's see if we can find a list with Tatsugiri, but I think here we go. We got a little Tatsugiri list. These lists are actually playing, I would say, a reasonable amount of supporter cards to justify playing Tatsugiri. Right? Like you see,
that's pretty good.
Right. This is the same amount of Arvins, plus 1 Lily, plus 1 Iono, plus 1 Research, right? You're now seeing 11 supporter cards. Yeah, you probably have a preference on which one you want to play, but right, you're going to find a supporter card, right? You're going to play the game. That's the most important thing.
Is this guy playing Psyduck?
We're not bringing Pult Dusk to Milwaukee, dude.
No, it's propaganda. I'm putting out anti-Psyduck propaganda to just play Pult Dusk at Milwaukee.
Yeah, and just still lose to the Guardy Frillish. Just still go 1-2-1 against them because it's just not good.
Yeah, though, literally. But what do you think of this Grimmsnarl deck? I think it's one of the few decks in the game besides Zoroark that boasts like a reasonable Guardy matchup.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true?
We talked about this a little bit earlier, and I remember talking about, if they prize a Morgrem, if they prize a Grimmsnarl, it gets pretty awkward, right? You can get abused pretty heavily by both Mindbend and Devo. But I think if you don't prize these cards, it's actually very, very hard to lose if you set up, because they just don't have a good attacking option. And I mean, you could play Drifloon in your deck. Right, Drifloon is pretty solid against Grimmsnarl, especially because they're just never putting Frostlass in play, especially in like a maybe game 2 situation, but game 1 situation, they're definitely not. So Drifloon's, fantastic answer to these cards, but I mean, no one's really playing these cards. No one's really attacking for Grimmsnarl and Guardy, right? So I actually think that it's very, very solid, especially going into that matchup. I would like to see, I think you mentioned this as well. If I was playing Grimmsnarl, I want a thicker Grimmsnarl line. I want like 3-3-2, 3-3-3, right?
Yeah.
And then you're just going to be able to get two Grimmsnarls on the board against Guardy, right? That's your biggest problem. You solve that problem by just playing more copies of the card. It's not a crazy concept. Yeah, you got to make some sacrifices, but you know what? If you're beating Guardy at the end of the day and you're not going to have to worry about prizing cards, that's really, really nice. And prizing second Grimmsnarl is a huge detriment against Grimmsnarl Mirror. It's a huge detriment on your resources when you prize one as well in any matchup. So I think it's just a very, very solid card to have. So yeah, I'd be inclined to play 3-3-3. I think the deck's better. You know, Dengo Rocks is still on the radar and people aren't playing as many healing cards. You know, that's of course good for Grimmsnarl as well. So yeah, I think the deck's definitely better than where it was.
Okay, let me ask you, in Pittsburgh, there was 8 Jelly Guardies in the top 32, a couple extra regular Guardies, I think maybe three regular Guardies. How many Gardevoirs, Jelly or not, do you think are going to be in the top 32 of Milwaukee?
Oh, you said,
and are my stats correct? Is there 8 of them?
32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Jelly Guardies, 1, 2, 3 regular Guardies. 11 Guardies in top 32. Oh my goodness. Is it going to be higher or lower? I think it's going to be higher. And maybe not higher for positioning. Like, I think the deck is probably actually positioned a little bit worse, but I think it just doesn't matter. I think people are just going to play it anyways. Like, the deck's just broken, right? Like, how are you going to roll up to a regional? Like, let's say you are the best Pokemon player and you can play every deck to the highest degree possible. How do you possibly justify bringing a deck that is not Gardevoir to any event?
Your deck beats Gardevoir.
If your deck beats Gardevoir, okay, but
like Liam Halliburton, right? His deck, he won the regional. His deck beat Gardevoir.
His deck did beat Gardevoir, and you know what? He did hit a lot of Gardevoir. Do you see any Gardevoirs he hit?
No, I think like 6 maybe.
Dude, it was like 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8.
5, 6. 8 Gardevoirs in his run, and even the non-Gardevoir matchups outside of like this Flareon. I think this Flareon might be a tough matchup, although he did win. Like, I don't think
Pulp.
I think your Pulp matchup's okay, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
I think is your Dengo Jolting Box matchup good? I feel like that matchup's actually kind of tough, isn't it? Is it not?
Like, you do have Toadscruel, but you have to kill the Iron Hands first.
Yeah.
I feel like you could probably maneuver it.
I guess if you're the supercomputer, right? If you're the best Pokemon player ever, maybe there is an argument. Maybe if you are the best Pokemon player ever, Gardevoir Jellicent Mirror is just too high variance for you to play it. So you choose to play a deck that isn't high variance against the other really, really good players. I could see that being a reasonable argument to play specifically Zoroark or maybe Charizard. Probably Zoroark though. I don't think the supercomputer is picking Charizard for the major, if I'm being honest. They might pick Zoroark.
But who knows? And like, the supercomputer deck choice doesn't have to be the deck that's hardest to play. It could be, I don't know, like we saw, remember at one point Caleb Gedimer and all those guys all played Raging Bolt to an event, and Caleb Gedimer won.
That is true.
And so sometimes the best play is the quote unquote less skilled decks just has good matchups.
That is a very, very good point. Well, I think that leaves us at a good place to close up the episode. Any last thoughts before we hop off?
That was a lot of fun though. I feel like we talked about some very analytical concepts, gave a good scope of what we think the meta is going to be like for Milwaukee, and it was a good first episode.
Yeah, a little bit of yap. I was happy with that. We'll get a little bit of a deep dive for Milwaukee specifically. I think next format, maybe or next week we'll do something more specifically, given it's 2 days away. That sounds good.
Yeah, maybe let us know in the comments down below, or if you're watching this on Spotify, I don't know if there's a comment section there, but let us know, guys. You can DM us on Twitter as well.
Yes.
What decks you want us to talk about, what maybe deck lists, or what you guys want to hear about as far as Milwaukee meta, which I think will be our primary topic next week.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, if you like the jingle that I did, thanks ChatGPT, let me know. I'll get some more jingles on there. If you got something you want me to say in the intro of the podcast, let me know. I'm all open to a nice little hook. So I'll be back in Toronto with my proper webcam with a little bit worse of a backdrop next week, but looking forward to it. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Look forward to talking to you guys next week.